Hey everybody, welcome into today's show here on JTV. Thanks for watching online, on TV, listening on the podcast. And thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency in Jackson Battle Creek, myinsuranccircle.com. I'm David. That's Adam. Hello, Adam.
Hello, another week, another round of football playoffs.
Yep. A lot of good NFL games yesterday. It was Cinderella. The 1 o'clock games were good. The 4 o'clock, not so much.
Yeah, Kansas City was 1 o'clock, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that game was crazy.
Kansas City, Pittsburgh. Let's see, Minnesota. It was 12-7.
That game was terrible.
And of course, I played against you in fantasy, and I had Justin Jefferson. And of course, the week I
was
play against you is when Jefferson had like 9 points, and then you had Jamar Chase, and Derrick Henry. That was the best game.
I was gonna say Jamar Chase had 55.4 points, so that was,
he ended up with 55. I didn't see the final number.
So that's done. That was done the second that game was over.
But we had a good round of high school football playoffs. We went into Friday with 4 teams left, and now we're down to 2. And 2 of the 4 were one possession, actually 2-point game and a 1-point game. But we will start with the game that you were at, Lumen versus Ida. Lumen 49-28. They win their 11th straight. Isn't that crazy? 11th straight district championship with the home win Friday over Ida. This was a very good Ida team coming in. They had averaged almost 40 points a game. They'd only given up 16 points to Hudson. You know, they're in the same conference as Hudson. They only gave up 16 to them, if that was any sign on how good they were coming in. But this was, at halftime, it was a 1-score game, I believe. And then Ida opened the second half, or at the end of the first half, with a touchdown. And Lumen advances to face Constantine in the regional Saturday at 1 o'clock. The last Michigan home game is on Saturday. So I will not be in Ann Arbor for that, but that's okay because they play Northwestern. So,
we know how that game's gonna end.
Northwestern win because Michigan. No, I'm kidding. No, they're not going to beat Michigan. I'll be at Lumen Saturday, but Cadale Williams doing his thing again. 304 yards, 4 touchdowns. We'll see one of his in the top plays coming up. Timmy Crowley, Isaac Rayberg also scored. I think Timmy Crowley faked out the entire stadium on his keeper for the touchdown. He did that in a couple of the games we had live this year too.
He's good at faking out the cameraman. At least me.
Yeah. So was coming over here. You thought Cadale was going to get the ball, and then he kept.
At least in the highlights, I stuck with him because some of the times I'll just go with the running back, but at least like I could tell out of the corner of my eye, oh, he's still at the football.
Right. So Cadale scored on runs of 57, 62, 27, and 4 yards. Lumen Christi 10-1, Constantine Saturday at 4 o'clock. We got to talk to the coach, Herb Brogan, and the star running back, Cadale Williams, after the game.
Josh Burgett with JTV Sports here with Coach Herb Brogan. Coach, you told me before the game it was going to be a hard-fought game, and it was. Ida came out, tough physical team, played hard, but your boys prevailed. Talk about your performance tonight.
Well, I thought we played great defense for most of the first half until that score right at the very end. But then they really exploited things a little bit in the second half. They gave us some things that we're going to have a lot of work to do this week. But they are big, strong, physical kids. They send a lot of people through the hole. And, it's caused us problems. We didn't tackle particularly well in the second half, but we forced a couple of big turnovers that really turned things around.
Your offensive line performed really well tonight, controlled the line of scrimmage on the offensive side. Can you talk about their performance?
Well, they've been key, to our offense all year long. We got some big play running backs, but without that offensive line, it's really tough sledding. And they've done a great job all year long. They did another great job tonight.
You talked about big play running backs. Williams had 4 touchdowns on the day. Clay had a really nice long run for you as well. Just talk about their work as well.
Well, they're both explosive backs. They both got big play potential. And, people key on Cadell so much that it opens things up for some of our other backs.
Coach, next week you're going to have Constantine in the regional. They're going to come here, another tough wing T team. They run it very well. Just talk about your expectations. I'm sure you haven't had a chance to scout them yet, but you know them.
Well, we did see him ninth game of the season, but like I told the kids, if anybody wants to learn how to run the wing tee, they go to Constantine to learn how to do it. So those guys are masters at what they do. They're going to be very, very deceptive. We've got to have a great week out of our scout team, and we've got to be prepared to stop that offense.
Coach, congratulations. Lumen Christi with their 11th straight district championship. They'll play next week for a regional title. Josh Brigette with JTV Sports here with Cadell Williams. Cadell, excellent game. Great job. Your offensive line played fantastic tonight. Can you just talk about their performance?
100%. Last week it all started letting them know we got to keep it up from here on. This is what we've been waiting for, and they just been kicking butt ever since, so let's go.
Cadell, you had 4 touchdowns in this game. You went over 1,700 yards on the season. Can you just talk about your performance individually tonight?
Once again, it all started with my line. Once they do their job, I told them I got them. I got their back. They got mine, and they make it happen for me.
Tough team, physical defense.
Yeah.
Talk about what this Ida team was like to go against.
They were physical, but coaches told us that, so we've been prepared for that too, so we just out-physical them and play ball.
11th straight district championship here for Lumen Christi. Talk about the run that this team has had, and your senior class, the run you guys have had.
Yeah, we've been on a run for a minute. We all of us been real close for a long time, so we got that chemistry, and we just out here doing what we love and doing what we do best.
All right, Constantine next week for regional championship. Cadell, great work. Congratulations.
Yes, sir.
So Lumen Christi 49-28 over Ida. More highlights and photos from the game online at jtv.tv. In the game that I was at reading, a combine was there too. We got there, we pulled in, and we saw the combine behind the goalpost. That was awesome. Had to get a shot at that, by the way.
And I had to include it in the open because I had to, right?
Mm-hmm. Reading 30, Springport 29. These two teams played in Big 8 conference play earlier this year. Springport won by, I believe, 2 or 3 points. Reading got their revenge in the playoffs. A touchdown was scored on every single drive in this game except for the last one. This was an unbelievable game. Springport began the game on offense hot from the start. The first 2 plays of the game, the running back, 34-yard run. Second play, quarterback keeper, 26-yard touchdown. So from there on, I was like, okay, this is going to be an amazing game, and it ended up being like that in the first 45 seconds. The Rangers consumed the first 7 minutes of clock in the third quarter, the full house, and they'll eat the clock, and that's exactly what they did. Capped it off to make a rushing touchdown. Springport had a 29-22 lead after that to end the third quarter, and then they took up all the time down to 5:16 left in the fourth and ultimately scored the game winner to make it 30-29. Springport went down to the 10-yard line but had 3 holding penalties on that drive. That's ultimately where they ended up in the bad field position. You can't, in any game really, playoffs or not, in that situation, you can't have 3 penalties like that pushed them back. They would have been at the 1 or the 2 yard line, and then they would have scored in 1.
Right.
Yeah, that costed them. So Springport was forced on a 4th and 9 and came up short. And if you watch at the end of the highlights, I don't have the roster in front of me, but the receiver number 5, he was wide open in the corner, and the quarterback didn't see him until the safety had already been coming towards the receiver, so he threw it too late. If he would have thrown it maybe a second or 2 earlier, it would have been open, touchdown, Springport would have won. But it was a great game. Their 3rd district championship in the last 5 years for Reading. But still, what a season, though, right, for Springport, 8-3 in their first ever playoff game last week and their first playoff appearance since 2018. And just like basketball, all their athletes are younger, too. So they're going to be back next year. This was a great season and a great bounce back for Springport. And it was really fun to cover them and watch them this year. So Reading 30, Springport 29. More highlights online at jtv.tv and photos as well. Manchester Division 8 fell to Riverview Gabriel Richard 44-26. Riverview had the lead from the start. Manchester had it close, but Gabriel Richard showed why they are the number 1 team in Division 8, arguably, and ran away with it 44-26. So shout out to everybody back in Riverview, as we said on the show last week. So, And then on Saturday, Leslie played at Grosse Pointe Woods University Liggett. 23-21. Leslie got a game-winning stop on a 2-point try on Saturday to win. Leslie advances to the regional final against the number 1 team in Division 7, Monroe St. Mary Catholic Central, who has the worst field conditions I think I've ever been to. I hope they're not watching. But quarterback Joel Cranmore, 1 touchdown, 156 passing yards, a rushing touchdown. Evan Dexter had a score, and he had 11 tackles on defense. Leslie's first district title since 2008. And you know how far they went in 2008? The state finals.
Whoa.
But I don't know if that year they played the number 1 team in Division 7 or not, but they will. And if they were to beat Monroe St. Mary, they'd play Hudson in the semifinal. So it'd be 2 tough games coming up. But a great win for Leslie. I knew it was going to be close, but I thought it'd be a little bit more high scoring. But regardless, great win for Leslie. Tough for Springport. Lumen doing their thing. Tough for Manchester. But now we're down to 2 teams. So still a good week coming up. Leslie will play on Friday, 7 o'clock at Monroe. Lumen Christi on Saturday at 1 o'clock. So anything else that stood out to you from Friday? I know you were at Lumen, and that was a 1-score game at halftime, and I think right away we were like, okay, this is closer than we thought, even though we knew Ida was a good team, but they're not, like Lumen standard.
Sure. I mean, I talked to Josh at halftime. It was 21-7 at half. So, and then Ida got the ball. They scored coming out of halftime, so it's 28-14, or it was 21-14. So I remember telling Josh, like, they think they have a shot coming out of halftime? He's like, they think they do.
But Lumen's the king of the second half adjustments.
Right. That's exactly what he said. So that went about how I expected. If you told me that was the final score, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense.
And that's what Coach Brogan talked about in the post-game interview with Josh was they had exceptional defense until the very end of the first half and an early second when they scored. And then Kadale Williams doing his thing again.
Yeah, and then also in the huddle after the game was over, a big emphasis from Coach Brogan about who they have coming up next, it being Constantine, essentially the kings of the wing T.
Yeah, Ida's a very good wing T team. So is Hudson. Obviously, Hudson's Division 7. But they play an even better T team in Constantine.
What he kept emphasizing, he said it in the interview too, but what he kept emphasizing to the kids is just like, if you're going to learn how to do the wing T, this is where you go, is
right.
Constantine. So it's like we got a lot ahead of us here. So of course, the seconds after the win, they were already looking towards the next game.
Right. 11 straight district title for Lumen Christi. Regional final Saturday at 1 o'clock. Hey, other things coming up on the show today. Not only was it football playoffs, we had volleyball playoffs Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We've got our top plays. I don't know how Kansas City's 10-0, and Michigan kept it a lot closer with Indiana than I thought. So we'll get to all that and our top plays of the week when we come back. Welcome back here on JTV. Thanks to the Insurance Circle Agency. Of course, the Minuteman Sewer and Drain for helping us bring you all of our high school football coverage. And thanks to Pataki Orthodontics, Grass Lake, Hillsdale, and Coldwater. Great smile. Always in style at Pataki. Ready to get to it, Adam? Our top 5 plays of the week.
Let's do it.
At number 5, Springport, in a really close game, surprisingly went to the back of the playbook, a flea flicker touchdown. Quarterback Gibson Overweg with a pitch to the right to Jake Kriegel, who threw it up for a touchdown. It was a great play. It was a close play, almost an interception or incomplete, really close. But normally in a close game like this, especially in the playoffs, you don't see Springport go to the back of the playbook, any team really, go to the back of the playbook like that. So it was shocking. But again, there was a touchdown on every single drive in this game except for the last one. So unbelievable game and a great play by Overweg and Jake Kriegel. That's at number 5 for Springport. And then number 4, speaking of the quarterback, Gibson Overweg on the second play of the game I mentioned earlier in our first segment. First 2 plays of the game, 45 seconds. 34-yard run from the running back, and then a quarterback keeper right here on the second play of the game. Springport on the board early. And number 3, we also mentioned this earlier. Timmy Crowley, I think, faked out the entire stadium if they haven't seen it already from him this year, including Adam. Yeah, faked out by
me
Timmy
out again,
Crowley,
yep.
partially.
As he always does.
As you kind of knew, though, where the ball might go, because we have seen
I
it.
kind of saw, you'll see in the slow motion, I kind of saw his hand pull it back
there,
last second.
and
That's when I was just kind of like, I kind of half committed one way, half committed to the other.
Right. Timmy Crowley, fake handoff on the quarterback keeper for a rushing touchdown. That's at number 3. At number 2, right away to start the second half, you mentioned it was 21-7 going into the locker room. Ida comes out right away. Deep touchdown pass, rare. We saw it from Hudson in the opening round. They had a few passes, and they normally don't pass. Same thing with Ida. Deep touchdown pass. They had a couple other passes as well. And I haven't watched Ida very often or even their highlights, but I got to imagine even for you guys, that was a surprise to see Ida pass.
Yeah, and it was a crazy play as well. So yeah, that was made it very interesting for a second, for sure.
Yeah. Was the vibe there different after they scored? Like, were people worried?
I wouldn't say worried. I would say they were pissed, is what I would say. Just that
I
it
would have been
happened.
too.
Yeah, just that it happened.
I would have been pissed if Jared Goff was my fantasy quarterback, but we'll get to that.
I wouldn't be pissed, though, if he was just my team's quarterback, though, because still getting the job done.
And at number 1, Cadell Williams doing his thing. He had 304 yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. He breaks off the tacklers here, including a little push from the lineman to keep him going on that play. So Cadell Williams doing his thing, 4 touchdowns for the Lumen Christi Titans. That is at number 1. Our top plays of the week, thank you to Pataki Orthodontics, a great smile, always in style, at Pataki, Grass Lake, Hillsdale, and Coldwater. When we come back, high school volleyball district finals happened on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So we'll get to that when we come back. Welcome back here on JTV. David Rice. That's Adam. Thanks to the Insurance Circle Agency. Today, Monday, is Veterans Day, too. So thank you to all the men and women who served and their sacrifice. My dad, Dave Rice, from the Insurance Circle Agency. His friend Mike from Alabama was up here for the weekend, so we watched Alabama beat the you-know-what out of LSU. Nice. They went hunting a lot. Didn't get anything, unfortunately. But it was all good, so. And it was the Marines' birthday as well. They were Marines.
Wow,
so,
yeah.
Happy Veterans Day, Marine birthday. Had to get that in there, of course. Not only did we have wooden mitten trophies in football, we had some in volleyball as well. High school volleyball district finals. 2 of them happened on Thursday. Lumen straight sets over Dansville. Lumen is hosting the regionals this week, Tuesday, and then the regional final Thursday night. Also on Thursday in Division 4, Concord straight sets over Jackson Christian. Friday at Whitmore Lake in Division 3, Grass Lake lost 15-13 in the 5th set. Manchester 3-2. They will be in the Lumen Christi region, and they will play Cascades rival Hanover Horton on Tuesday in the regional semifinal. Grass Lake finished season 26-13-3. Lumen will be, again, hosting Manchester against Hanover. Hanover on Friday won the district straight sets over Hillsdale. On Saturday, Napoleon hosted them and Concord, the only 2 local teams who hosted a district. Clinton 3-1 over the Pirates. And on Saturday, Columbia fell to Western. The Panthers straight sets 3-0. Western coach Jody Johnston told JTV's Jeff Steers, "We played Columbia back in August, but this is a different team right now. We finally got everyone in the correct positions on the court, and it's been working out." The Panthers now 27-13-3, advancing to the D2 regional semifinal Tuesday at Ann Arbor Gabriel Richard, taking on Wixom St. Catherine, 7 p.m. Tuesday night. So you can watch volleyball Highlights from Wednesday's district semifinals between Columbia and Chelsea, and then Western Pinckney, and photos from Saturday online as well at JTV.TV. All the fall sports here starting to come right down to it. We have regional final coming up in football. We have the regionals in volleyball. Cross country is already done. We have no more boys soccer teams. And girls golf is already done. I don't think I'm missing any other sports. So
I think that sounds right. Yeah.
Yep, just regionals and volleyball and football from here on. So we're down to Lumen, Concord, Hanover, and Western. 4 teams left in volleyball and 2 in football. The notion that some people say, oh, Lumen's just a football school. That's not true.
All the banners say otherwise.
Right. Girls golf.
That's right.
Girls soccer won the state championship last year. They're going to have another great season. Volleyball, track, and cross country. And then Concord, they have a good girls basketball team and volleyball. So 4 teams left in volleyball and 2 in football. But for all that, and if you want to keep up with all the schools that are remaining and all the scores and photos, video highlights that we'll have the next couple of weeks as we get right before Thanksgiving, JTV.TV. And when you click on JTV Sports, the tab there on the website, you know what you can do? Subscribe.
That's right. Subscribe.
For how much?
0.00.
Almost forgot the third zero.
Almost forgot it again.
Yeah, subscribe for free to your favorite school. You can subscribe to more than one, too. I think we subscribe to all of them.
You should sign up with 3 different emails so you can subscribe to every single one 3 times.
I have, because of all the different accounts I have.
That's right.
And because I always forget my password to things
so you
because
just
I'm an idiot.
You just keep adding.
I have like
email
4
addresses.
different Gmail accounts.
Holy
and
mackerel.
then my JTV
Oh
account.
my gosh.
So I have like 5 different emails for everything.
Yeah.
So when we come back, Jake Bates went back to his hometown. No extra coat of paint could have happened on the goalpost.
What a beast.
Michigan was close, and the Chiefs are 10-0. So we'll do that when we come back. Welcome back here on JTV. Thanks for listening on the podcast, on TV, online. Thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency. And I really didn't get much sleep watching the end of the Lions game, so I'd have the coffee in here with the Insurance Circle.
I was going to say, I needed the coffee this morning as well.
But what a game.
What a great game.
What a game. 26-23, just under 6 minutes left. Houston was up by 3. Jake Bates, 50,
I think it's 59.
58 or 9 yards, just by that much. And then for the win from 52 yards, same thing, just on the other goalpost.
Yeah.
Chris Collinsworth said if they would have added an extra coat of paint on the goalpost before the game, he wouldn't have made it.
Yeah, I said this to Barker. I said, if you showed the game of football, if you were showing the game of football to somebody who has never seen football before and you showed them that game and you told them how to kick a field goal, I think that they would say you have to get as close as possible to the goalpost without hitting them.
No,
to score
please
points.
don't.
But I don't think that. No, that's not how you do it.
Right. But honestly, this was probably as ugly of a win as the Lions are going to have this year. And that's a good Houston team. Jared Goff, 5 interceptions.
Of course, you got to clean that up, but still, I mean, in the grand scheme of things, we still won, so I'm still happy. But yeah, of course, that wasn't the perfect game. But guess what? I'd rather have our worst game of the season be a win than a loss.
And a couple of those picks really were, one of them was Hail Mary.
Another one was just unlucky. Bounced, hit a bunch of hands. Ball was going all over the place and just ended up in a Texan's hand.
And even C.J. Stroud had a really stupid interception too.
He had a couple.
I think it was Tank Dell. It was wide open, and Stroud just didn't throw it right away. And the pressure was coming, and he waited a second, threw it, and that's when Carlton Davis was already coming over.
He had a great
to play
game.
Defense.
Yeah, he had a great game.
He had a great game. 2 interceptions. great. They talked about it on the broadcast. I don't blame him because I think he's the best right tackle in the league.
Mm-hmm.
Panay Sewell, great blocking.
Yep.
To set up for Montgomery.
Man. He's such a good tackle and so good in pass protection, but then when you see him run out there on a blocking play when he's like lead blocker in a run play, like an outside zone, it's nasty.
Or when you
He's
throw
so
it
good.
to Panay.
I know, he's so good, dude.
And for his weight, that man moves
Oh, yeah, he does.
quick. So does the line. I don't remember. I think it was in the third quarter, Montgomery had a run down the left sideline for a gain of, I think, 24. And even Glasgow and Ragnow and Panay, they're all running down there before Montgomery
It's pretty
to
sick.
get the block.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
And you know what was funny about that the pick on the very first play of the second half on the broadcast? They were airing the audio while the game was live of Dan Campbell's interview coming out of the locker room when he said, "We need turnovers. They're not going to happen all consecutively
That's
right
cool.
away, but we're going to need them one play at a time, and we're going to get them." And right away in the very first play of the second half, pick.
That's cool. Yeah, I didn't see that because I was talking to somebody during that play, during that thing, and we all got surprised by the play, so we didn't hear that. That's what Dan Campbell was talking about. That's pretty cool.
Lions 26, Texans 23. But the three other picks, though, besides the unlucky and the Hail Mary, still a lot to clean up this week from the last
sure.
game, and that's a good Houston team. But they're also not going to win very many games the way they played in the second half.
For sure. But in
The way they right away just collapsed in the
Yeah.
second half.
But like I said, with that being our worst played game, the fact that we won, I can't be happier that we won in our worst performing game. We just got to clean that up, and it was against a good team, so it's it's not out of the realm.
And that was a good Texans team that was without Will Anderson on defense.
Oh, he didn't play?
Without Stephon
Diggs,
Diggs
yep.
and without Nico Collins.
Mhm.
So
It's true.
without their three other best players besides
But
Stroud.
we knew Texans were going to be good this year.
Right. And also what I thought made a difference too, even though the Lions were down big at halftime, they prevented Joe Mixon. He essentially did nothing.
Like
in
what
that
we've
game.
done to like every other running back in the league. Just stop them
Well,
from scoring.
well, hang on.
Okay, one running back maybe, but that's one game in a game where it was going to be a run-heavy game anyways because it was raining, it was windy.
Right,
So you're going to have to
right.
lean on the run.
But I mean, besides Josh Jacobs, they've really shut down every other run.
And they shut
game.
him down in the second half when you look at his second half numbers compared to his first
Right.
half numbers.
But I'm not blaming that game again on. I mean, weather was a big part. I'm not blaming the whole loss, obviously, on the weather because you can't.
Right. Well, in the next game we'll be in a
but-
dome, so we'll stop that.
But what if the weather wasn't a factor? Love was already playing hurt anyways. I think they
It
would
probably
have
would have been around
more.
It would have been around the same. I think this game would have been close to being the same. They would have ran it a bunch, but I think the weather forced them to run it.
Last year when Detroit came or Green Bay came to Detroit, it was on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we notoriously don't do well on Thanksgiving, at least over the most recent years.
Well, you played the Bears, so it's okay. They lost
Yeah.
to the Patriots. The Bears are awful.
I think you could say Lions minus 21 in that game because I think
I would take 21.
well, it's because I think the Lions are fed up with not winning on Thanksgiving, and this Lions team seems like they can run up the scores in those kind of games.
Especially because the way Green Bay was playing before they started their end of the season run. Thanksgiving was that first game really of
that's
that
true. It was.
run. Nobody expected Green Bay to come into Detroit last year and beat them, and that's what happened. And this year it's not on Thanksgiving. Green Bay does play on Thanksgiving, but at home at the night game against Miami. Tua and the Dolphins playing in the cold at
Interesting.
Lambeau.
Oh boy, that's an interesting.
Remember when they played in the cold in the playoffs against Kansas
right.
City? Now it won't be minus 40 degrees,
But it's still Lambeau. It's cold. Lambeau at night.
but it's still a factor.
In November at night, it's gonna be cold.
Because I've been to a November game in Green Bay when it's been snowing, so that's a part of the thing there. But
Sure.
Lions 26, Texans 23. All week I said Indiana, they were going to beat the you-know-what out of Michigan, and it was going to be a blowout because that's what Indiana's been doing to teams this year.
It looked like early it could be.
Right. Coming in, Michigan was still unranked. Michigan still isn't good, even though they only lost to Indiana by a touchdown. This was a lot closer than I thought it was going to be. Indiana, Michigan's defense, I got to give, props to them. The offense still didn't make the play when needed. But the defense, I was still really shocked by without Will Johnson.
Yeah.
So, Indiana with the win over Michigan, and Ohio State beating the you-know-what out of Purdue. Gus Johnson visibly upset that we keep showing Ohio State blowouts at noon on Fox. I don't blame him. His enthusiasm was almost nothing.
Oh, no.
I don't blame him. You're showing on national TV, essentially Fox's A team, Ohio State beating a 1-7 pathetic Purdue team. Why do they do this?
It's to get that big Ohio State game on the air. It's just they just base it on one team,
Why? I mean, I don't know. And guess what they're showing next week on Fox? Penn State at Purdue.
Oh, what a classic.
1-8 Purdue.
Yeah.
Against Penn State.
Purdue's getting that prime time viewership numbers. I like it.
They'll take the money.
Yeah,
they don't care if they're 1-8. They'll take Fox money.
Yeah.
Even though their pregame isn't as good as College Game Day. Remember Pat McAfee took a shot at them last week?
I didn't know that he did.
I don't remember exactly what he said, but he said something about because last week their pregames were at the same stadium.
Oh, okay.
So he looked over and was like, "They have a horrible setup," and then he was coming after
that's
Fox.
Awesome.
But ESPN did on Saturday. They're a touching tribute. If you know Kirk Herbstreit, Ben was a big part of.
I saw
Kirk
a piece
Herbstreit's
of this.
life.
I saw a piece of this online. Yeah, this was very nice.
As a person who's had a dog their whole life, I totally, obviously anyone who's had a dog
Mm-hmm.
feel the same way. I mean, he was in the broadcast booth. He traveled with him on the plane, in the hotel. I mean, he was everywhere, and it's it makes it even more sad with the way it ended too.
Mm-hmm.
So
For sure. But yeah, a good tribute by them as well. I saw that on social media a couple.
LSU
days
on
after.
their video board did something for him too.
That's very nice. Yeah, that is very nice. But yeah, he was a staple of all of national championships. I don't think there was a dog. I'm pretty confident that there hasn't been a dog that has been to more national championships or more college football playoff games or bowl games than that dog did. So,
and you know what? On the field too.
Yeah.
About that. Even got his own media pass.
that's pretty cool. Yep.
How can the dog get a media pass?
Yeah.
Or
what the
be
heck?
able to
And we didn't.
do be in the broadcast booth for a college game, and we can't for high school playoffs.
Oh, here we go.
Anyways,
Here we go.
but no, college game day was cool though. Being in Baton Rouge, Paul Skeens and Livy Dunn on the guest picker for college game day. They had really good picks, by the way.
Let me guess, they picked LSU.
Yep. And they picked. I don't remember if South Carolina or Vanderbilt ended up winning, but they took Vanderbilt.
Oh.
I think Vanderbilt was still number 25. They were last week, not this, 2 weeks ago, not this last week. But they picked Vanderbilt and Desmond Howard just because he picked Michigan. He knew they had no.
Yeah,
they
but he
weren't gonna
has to.
win.
Come on. It's Desmond, so he has to.
Right. But a good weekend of college football and a lot of close NFL games too. By the way,
Yeah.
Pittsburgh drew Washington offsides.
Oh
He
my
got the
gosh,
first
how
down
did they
to
do
win.
that?
It was a hard count. Well, first the third down and I think 7 or 8. He hit Freiermuth for a pass. His knee was down before the ball went over the line to gain. So 4th and 1, less than
Such
1.
a close play. Yep.
And a minute left, Washington with no timeouts. Russell Wilson, hard count, lineman jumps offside, Steelers
And
win.
I knew going into that, I was yelling to the person I was watching with. I was saying, they're going to try to make him jump. And then they made him jump, and they did. It was just like, come on, what are you doing?
So Pittsburgh by 1. The Vikings had even more of an ugly win than the Lions did.
Oh, well, yeah, look at the team it was against.
Yeah.
Can a much more of an uglier win than against the worst team in football.
But I can't say much because Green Bay also had to make a game-winning field goal against Jacksonville. So
Yeah, what's wrong with you guys? Come on. Lions wouldn't
that's
do
why
that.
we picked up the new kicker.
That's right.
McManus. He's solid, by the way. But
Didn't he miss one against the Lions?
He did, yes.
Yeah.
I blame that one on the weather. It was
Well,
like 30-mile-an-hour winds with the
oh.
rain.
It's just Packer kickers against the Lions. It just doesn't go well as of late.
Mason Crosby.
Ugh.
I was actually at the game at Ford Field when he missed
That is
like
so
5
hilarious.
kicks.
I wasn't at the game, but I still remember that. I still remember that. Like by like the fourth one, it's just like there's no way, right? And then he still missed it.
I don't remember how I got tickets to this one, but I was at the Lions-Vikings game where they threw it to Panay with 2 minutes left.
Oh,
to
that's
clinch the
cool.
game.
That's cool.
But anyways, Lions, Pittsburgh by 1, Minnesota, and I put on this. How in the you-know-what is Kansas City 10-0?
Speaking about kickers, yeah, dude, what the heck? Well, good for them. I mean,
And you shared a story with Bart. Somebody predicted the Broncos.
oh yeah,
win too
my
early.
buddy texted the group chat, the fantasy football group chat before the kick happened, and he just put like Broncos kick field goal beat Kansas City. And the second it came through, I told him because I was on the phone with him. I was like, "Why'd you do that?" And he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "They're not going to get the kick now," because he was so excited, thinking like, "Okay, we're going to be the best team in football now."
He jinxed it.
And he jinxed it. He full on announcer jinx. It's crazy. It happened.
And then they blocked the field.
Then they blocked it, and a part of me too was thinking like, he might miss this now because that text was sent out, and then to see the block, it was just like, what the heck? It was crazy.
Kansas City has really gotten away with some games this year.
Yeah.
The first game against Baltimore, they won in overtime last week against Tampa Bay. Blocked field goal against Denver. Trying to think, there was one more game. It was close against the Niners.
That's right. Speaking of the Niners, McCaffrey got to play
Yep,
for the
he
first time
came
this
back.
week. Yep.
And I think so. Those 4.
Yep.
If 2 or 3 of those would have flipped the other
Yep.
way, we'd be talking about 7-3. Or if they were to lose all 4, I don't think that would have happened.
Yeah.
But 6-4, and then people would be like, "Oh my God!"
Still, I mean,
freak out.
they're still the number 1 team in the NFL.
Yep.
But I think you'd rather face them than the Lions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. Because remember, Green Bay beat Kansas City last year.
That's right.
At Lambeau. We don't play them this year.
We
but
beat Kansas City last year
at
at
Arrowhead.
At Arrowhead.
That's something Lions and Packers fans can agree on. We hate Kansas City. I think
I don't hate Kansas
everybody
City.
does.
I don't hate Kansas City. You hate Kansas City?
I think everybody does.
I think
almost everybody.
But everybody
We're just tired of them getting away with calls and wins because the hot. Did you hear about the hot mic from this last broadcast?
Oh, I heard whispers of this. That it was.
Did you
Mahomes
watch
saying
the
something.
video?
No, I didn't see the
You
video.
got to watch the video
Okay.
after the show. When
Okay.
we go to break here, after the show,
Mhm.
Mahomes was caught on a hot mic, basically asking the ref if Mahomes is running or scrambling to let him know when a defender's coming at him or a lineman.
I'd be curious to hear if it was actually that and what his explanation is for it. I'm not doubting that he says that, but is that exactly what he means? I don't know. But to get back really quick to like
Obviously,
the Kansas City.
obviously we're not gonna show it because copyright.
Right.
But we'll have to look at it when we're done.
Yeah,
here,
and it's
but-
probably all over the place as well on social media.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, no, I think people just hate Kansas City just because they're good. It's a weird thing where people hate. I've talked about this before. Where people hate teams that are really good, but then in 20 years we'll be talking about these Kansas City teams.
like we did the
Like we
Patriots
do
teams.
The Patriots teams are like we do the Jordan Bulls, or like those teams. Like people look fondly on those teams, and you look back in history, and you're like, those teams define eras. But then we're also so quick to hate those teams. It's just strange.
I mean, obviously, most people, including myself, I'm not going to say otherwise, don't like them because they've just dominated the NFL, and as long as they keep winning, I don't see them not winning a three-peat.
I see them getting stopped by one team.
I know what team we're talking about.
The Jacksonville Jaguars. no, the Detroit Lions, of course.
The Bears.
The Bears.
But it just, there's there's been at least a couple games over this last couple years span. You can't deny some of the calls that have gotten their way in the officiating and all the media and everybody with Kansas City.
I would love to see like some sort of stats of like questionable calls, because I don't think Kansas City has gotten more calls than other teams. I think Kansas City is typically prime time. They're typically the only game that's on. So all of their games are under a microscope, and they're already under a microscope by themselves. But then on top of that, you have it to where it's prime time. So it's one of the only games or the only game playing at that time. So I think people just naturally think like, well, they're getting all the calls. But I think probably their rate is about the same.
I don't think they get all of the calls.
No, but I think people think they get
there's
a lot.
few, right? I mean, there's just haters in general that would just say, "Oh, they get away with every single thing." The first game, Isaiah Likely was out by that much.
So that wasn't their call. That was a good call.
Right.
That was a good call.
Blocked field goal. They just finished well against the Niners. And then the Monday night game, they got the ball in overtime, went down and won it.
Yeah. So I think some of it's just people drinking the haterade, which I get it, but at the same time, it's just like, you got to recognize that sometimes.
Right. So we'll have to investigate.
Yeah.
that.
I'll
have to show you the hot mic though.
For sure,
when we
I'll
wrap
have to
up
see that.
here. So again, before we go, real quick, you can subscribe for free. JTV Sports to your favorite school or Jackson College or Spring Arbor. Basketball's kicking off, and in a couple weeks, we'll tell you more about it next week, but we'll have live JC basketball on JTV, doubleheader, men's and women's, Tuesday the 26th of November. So more details, more info we'll show you next week. So go Pack. They were on the bye week. We've got the Bears.
Did you guys win this week?
Thanks.
Did you guys beat the bye week? Oh, okay.
If Malik Willis was our quarterback, we would have won the bye week.
Yeah.
But go Pack. We're off the bye week. We're gonna beat the Bears, especially the way they get played against New England, which was pathetic.
Yeah, that looked horrible. Ugh.
Just awful.
Ugh.
And Aaron Rodgers and the Jets are still terrible. And the Lions won, so they're 8-1. Who do the Lions have this week?
Let me take a look and see. I'm not sure who we have. Give me like 2 seconds.
But the Lions again will play on Thanksgiving against the Bears, and they're going to beat the Bears by 39 points.
We have, it's Jaguars at Lions.
Oh,
get ready. The spread is -13 for Detroit.
Well, usually the spread they don't do very super high in the NFL like they do college.
So 13's big.
13 in the NFL is huge.
Yeah.
So subscribe to your favorite school. Go Pack. Lions have an easy win against Jacksonville. So that's going to do it for us. Thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency and Pataki Orthodontics. We will be back with you on Hump Day on Wednesday.
Hump Day.
Thanks for watching and listening here on JTV.